got a lot to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, to start with, the mystery drones are still here, and the government is covering it up. And also now the media is covering it up. More and more people are talking about this. Let's give a listen to what Tim Burchett said on January 8th.
Say a submarine of one of our enemies comes up off the coast of North Carolina, but New York, for instance, and they put 50 or so drones in the air, and they might have a nuclear component, they could have a dirty bomb component, they could have a biological entity, and were to fly in. And now they know they can pretty much just fly in over our military, and when these are over military installations, some of these drones, they could fly in without any notice, without anybody firing a shot, literally. And they know they can do that. And so I would warn people, the drones are still out there and they're still flying, but our media is not, for whatever reason, is not covering it anymore. And we better get a grip on it, because that is a component of the next war that we will fight.
Yeah, I don't know about the next war that we're going to fight. I mean, obviously, if we do fight another war, and when we do, drones will be part of it. But he's specifically talking here about the mystery drones that are still present, he says, and the media is not covering it. Why the sudden blackout from the media on the mystery drones? It seems to me this was coordinated and deliberate. So it seems like some, suppression of this information from the powers that be. The control group evidently doesn't want us talking or thinking or being aware of the mystery drones, but they're still here. Here's one from Point Pleasant Bureau in New Jersey. Wixie says, I don't see them going away, just getting bigger. And this was from January 7th. Yeah, you can see these large drones over these beautifully lit houses, just flying slowly. You can see this one big one here, and what might be a second object there, trailing it. Are they in like some sort of formation or something? I don't know, but this is a likely sighting of a mystery drone. I mean, you never know. There's definitely misidentified objects out there. But this is, how they do. It's how they roll, how the mystery drones roll, I guess. Let's fast forward a little bit, see if it does anything else other than just slowly fly along. I think that's about it. But yeah, these things are all over, guys. Here's what are described as drones in LA are coming from the ocean or going to the ocean on January 6th before the fire. Now, of course, is that related to the fire in any way? Who knows? But there you go, a fleet of these blinking objects filmed in the LA area, and you can see this how they're blinking in tandem with each other, which is really interesting. I don't know what that means, but if you do, let me know your thoughts, because that is, significant, I think. Multiple UFOs were seen over Prague recently. Are these the mystery drones? Is this some other sort of phenomenon? I would love more close-ups of what we're looking at here, maybe some different angles. I love Prague. I've been to Prague several times. It's one of my favorite places that I've been to in Europe. It's a really lovely city, especially the old area. Now we have drones over there. We've got drones over Denmark. We've had them over Italy. We've had them over Australia. They are all over. This is a global phenomenon, and the media is silent on it, and the government is lying about it. Journalist Chris Sharp says, one witness tells me there were over 20 drones seen over RAF Koningsby. I said that right, including ones flying in formation. If you live in the area and witness the same thing, please email Liberation Times. This drone swarm. I've received multiple reports over the last few days from members of the public regarding drones and UAP over some of the most sensitive nuclear and military facilities in the UK. They include Portsmouth Naval Base, MOD Chicksons, Aldermaston, RAF Menwith, RAF Coningsby, and RAF Cranwell. These things all been reported to me since the new year began and mark a huge upsurge in drone sightings, if correct and not misidentifications. Chris says, I have spoken to UK Ministry of Defense. The response? There was a significant amount of media coverage on this issue between November and December, referencing reports of drones being sighted over locations, including those you've listed. We haven't challenged the general coverage, but I'm afraid we are not providing much detail on this. There is an investigation into these reports ongoing. I'm afraid for the time being we are unlikely to be able to guide any further than our statement below. They have not been confirming specific locations. Well, that is a cheap, unsatisfying excuse why the government is not talking about it just because they have ongoing investigations. That doesn't explain, for example, why the media is not talking about it. No, there seems to be a general crackdown of information regarding the mystery drones. There seems to be a concerted effort to keep the truth from us. And it might even get weirder than all of that. From Truth Poll breaking, there are reports of a confrontation between multiple UFOs in the Royal Air Force in Wales. All right, let's give a listen.
Guys, so this is a quick one. I'm getting some unconfirmed reports of multiple sightings of UAP seen over Wales last night. And there has been a statement made by the 48th Fighter Wing on this issue. They have said there was no UAS activity in or around US military installations in the tri-base area last night. Aircraft from RAF Lakenheath were conducting routine night flying training sorties January 7th in and around the airspace over Wales. Obviously, as we know, Lakenheath is in East Anglia, but they have said that they've been conducting sorties and things over Welsh airspace. However, it doesn't detract from the amount of people that have reported seeing these things flying around all night last night in Wales. On obviously this is now the 7th of January. This was on the night of the 6th. So yeah, watch this space and see if there's anything else that comes up. Thank you.
Yeah, no more details about whatever confrontation Truth Poll was talking about, but very interesting that people are seeing these mystery objects, and there were fighters that were out and about. Were they interacting or shooting it or studying or trying to drive off these mystery drones? What was going on there? They say they're just on routine maneuvers, but of course we can't trust what they're saying because they are lying about it. It's so frustrating that this is eroding faith in public institutions even more. If they would just be transparent with us, we would have a lot more faith than we do. So, and that's not me saying something bad about the powers that be. It is a challenge to the establishment to do better. They can do better, and they need to do better. It would not be good if the public lost complete faith in the government. The next move is yours, establishment. So are these things a threat? Are these mystery drones a potential threat? Well, Ross Coldart saying a concise explainer from Nick Pope underlining why these mystery objects buzzing UK and USA are a national security threat that needs to be taken seriously. Yes, there are some misidentifications, but that does not explain what many folk are clearly seeing with their own eyes. And Nick Pope says, drones, an update. The New York Times published an interesting and important article on January 4th, and I've gone over that with you when they were talking about this potentially being a foreign power, maybe Russia. This was in relation to drone sightings over the UK and Germany, but it would be decidedly odd to say that such state-sponsored surveillance missions could happen in Europe but not in the US. Well, if it was a state-sponsored surveillance mission, yes, but it's clearly something more anomalous is going on. This is exotic technology. We can't do anything about this stuff. We can take down drones. The US and presumably the UK and other powers can take down simple drones. This is something we haven't seen before. You want to say it's Russia or China, fine, but if so, why has Russia not used this exotic technology to win in the Ukraine? Why is Taiwan not part of mainland China if China has this technology? Now, I'm sure they've been working on stuff. They may very well have some exotic craft and technology of their own. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. But the U.S. has been working on this stuff arguably far longer, and we probably have much better stuff. And we can surely take down, some drones that they would put out there, right? So, what are these things? Well, unfortunately, we can't trust the powers that be to tell us the truth about them, but it is definitely looking more and more anomalous and more likely to be caused by NHI, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. In other news, speaking of the powers that be, well, it was the manifesto read on Sean Ryan's podcast, supposedly written by the Tesla bomber legit. Well, apparently, according to the FBI, that manifesto is legit.
Spencer Evans, Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division. In terms of a question about the validity of what Leibelsberger put out to the public, either in the two-page manifesto or additional documentation we're discovering, we're not speaking to the content. I can say, as Sheriff Corrin described and others, it runs the gamut. I mean, he's talking about feeling that he was, surveilled, guilt. You can tell there's, some anguish there, some frustration with the government. I mean, there's a whole host of things. So we haven't gotten into, what's legitimate, what's not. The only thing that, out of an abundance of caution, in as much as there's Department of Defense equities that speak to sources and methods or something else that would endanger folks overseas, that's not being released. But beyond that, we haven't vetted any of his writings to determine, what's legitimate and what was in his own head. Yeah, including, he alleges a variety of things, and we haven't gotten into the weeds on any of that.
That podcast email is him.
Yeah, so we have confirmed that the document that he sent to the podcast, we know that he was the one that sent that document.
Okay, so there you go. It looks like the Tesla bomber did indeed write that manifesto talking about how the Chinese drones were, the mystery drones were Chinese mystery drones. And that's probably it's probably accurate that he wrote that. Of course, if this was the powers that be putting out disinformation, can they be trusted to say that it was actually him writing that? That's what I'm talking about, the erosion of public trust in the public institutions, is that we need to have confidence in the public institutions so that when they tell us stuff like this, we can say, yeah, that's legit. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Again, the move is on you, establishment. Do better. Meanwhile, on a totally different subject, Joe Murgia is saying this may mean something, exactly what, I do not know. And he's referring to this, forget the drones, I want to know why gray aliens are being seen during near-death experiences. And this is something that I've talked on the channel before about several times. Is the confluence of the UFO phenomenon and the metaphysical. And I have done an extensive study of near-death experiences, and yeah, indeed, people will see gray aliens on the other side. Sometimes I'll even see them hanging out with Jesus. In abduction cases, beings have told people to study the teachings of Jesus. They've also told people about chakras and chi and elements of other faith systems as well. What does that mean? I would love to know. But the UFO phenomenon is way more complicated than simply nuts and bolts vehicles with aliens from other worlds in our 3D reality. I'm sure there's some of that going on too, but it's way more interesting and arguably way more important since it may involve more spiritual concerns. But yeah, it is definitely a thing that people see gray aliens on the other side. Some of these beings do seem to be other dimensional and may originate from other dimensions or higher dimensions, what we might think of as spiritual dimensions. Either way, their technology seems to allow them to come and go from those dimensions. Some say that some of these beings exist in our 3D reality in some far distant planet, but they use their technology to travel through dimensions to get here quicker. That's how they jump through space, is by going through dimensions. And some have said, that actually explains why there are paranormal and poltergeist events associated with some UFO events, like in Las Vegas. Like they got aliens in their backyard one moment, they have a haunted house the next. Happens all the time. Why is that? Well, the theory is that as these ships pass through these other dimensions and come back into our reality, that things glom onto them or a portal opens, or there's a rupture in those realities, whatever, things come with them out of those dimensions. And that's how you get hauntings. Is that the case? I don't know. But it is food for thought. So let me know what you think about that. But I did want to touch on this since people are now seeing this. UFO Joe's got a lot of followers. A lot of people pay attention to him. And it's such an important subject because we're never going to understand the UFO phenomenon until we understand that it exists in a larger context, what I call the greater phenomenon. Psi abilities, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, Bigfoot, it's all connected, guys. It's so fascinating. I wish I had the big picture on what it all means, but hey, if you do, let me know in the comments below. Meanwhile, Leslie Kean is saying that season 2 of UFOs Investigating the Unknown has now dropped, and we can check it out on, I think, Netflix. She says season 2 of the series I helped produce with Breakthrough Films premieres tonight. That's yesterday, and all 6 episodes stream in full tomorrow. It is designed to reach a broad mainstream audience and includes 2 episodes on close encounters and their impacts on people. Now, that's really cool. I will definitely check it out. I really enjoyed season 1. I also hope she returns to the subject of near-death experiences because, like I say, I think that is hugely important to understanding, the greater phenomenon and the broader context that all of this seems to exist in. Oh, and of course, if you've just joined the channel, I myself have experienced the confluence of the metaphysical and the UFO. I've had my own trippy mystical UFO experience, and yeah, they are connected, and it was definitely a spiritual experience as well. If you want to know more about that, go to my playlist, my experiences, one of the channels on the playlist, to the video called My Jesus Ayahuasca UFO. And I was perfectly sober when I saw that UFO. So yeah, go check it out. Speaking of Jesus, this was filmed on Christmas by Chris Bledsoe. He says this is an orb, not a drone, and he sees this very much in spiritual terms. Does it have a face on there? Almost kind of has a face, but that could just be pareidolia. But yeah, Chris gets all these big captures.
It just appeared right out of thin air.
Appeared out of thin air. I love it. I hope to do a CE5 with Chris. I really need to get him on the channel. I've been following Chris Bledsoe for years. He is amazing, and who knows, maybe next year he will have some sort of public event where the lady appears. He thinks she might be coming in 26 or 27, possibly in Utah. And she's going to appear out of a cliff in Utah, he thinks. And if that happens, man, I hope that's a public event. I hope he invites others to be there. I'm going to camp out, and I'm going to wait for that. And if you don't know the lady or Chris Bledsoe's story, you be sure to check that out. She is this cosmic entity that not just Chris has seen, but multiple other people have seen. Fantastic story. Read his book, UFO of God, listen to some of his podcasts, or his son Ryan's podcast. There's a wealth of information out there about his experiences, and with multiple people corroborating a lot of this stuff. So fantastic stuff. Chris is the real deal. Another guy that's the real deal is Peter Maxwell Slattery, who I have had on the channel. Awesome guy. From down under. He says activity in the sky over Jaya. That's his what he calls his sanctuary, Jaya Sanctuary in Australia. Filmed by Pete on the 30th of November 2024. Peter Maxwell Slattery does these amazing CE5 events at Jaya Sanctuary. Hopefully I'll get a chance to go down under someday and check it out. But he gets awesome contacts and sightings with these CE5 events. Yeah, and Peter Maxwell Slattery is really interesting because not only does he, have fantastic contacts and can do wonderful CE5, but he has much more, he's got communication with some of these beings, like open dialogue with some of these communications in a way similar to Chris Bledsoe. And he's had over 40 remote viewers remote view some of his experiences. And it's just, again, validating, the reality of them, but also getting some more information about them and the other dimensional aspect that seems to exist with them. He's dealing with other dimensional entities, as I think Chris Bledsoe is. Either way, fantastic stuff. Great captures, Peter. Let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Also, channel members do frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel. I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.